Welcome to the 209th episode of News Dump, where we run through the hottest topics in the Lewis County news scene and discuss. I'm local man Aaron VanTuyl, joined as always by Chronicle executive editor Eric Schwartz, and we got a little one-on-one match here.
We do.
Just no Kody. Busy weekend for him.
Busy weekend. He's resting up for the election. He's got to stretch. He has a 12-hour stretching regimen before every election.
Yeah,
he wants to make sure he can lean as far to the left as possible, and then again as far to the right if challenged.
Absolutely. Where are you sending him tomorrow night?
We'll finalize that tomorrow afternoon, but we'll hopefully
don't admit it online.
No. Huh? We'll have somebody over at the ones we know about. We've got Cade Barker down at the Reflector, our sister paper colleague. He'll be going to a Joe Kent event this evening, because we don't know where Joe Kent is going to be tomorrow, and we're trying to be super fair, and he is planning to cover the Glusum Camp Perez event tomorrow during the election results as well.
Much like the source of his personal finances, he plays his plans close to the vest.
That's your call. We know where he's going to be at right up to 6:30, because that's, according to the website, they'll be waving signs down in Camas. So we'll be there, and then here a little more locally, we'll have somebody over at the Republican shindig at Par 4 Sports over at the Northwest Sports Hub. We're still trying to figure out where the Lewis County Democrats are going to be, and we hope to have somebody there. And then, as always, we got to have somebody down at the Lewis County Courthouse when Larry Grove, auditor, comes out and sees whether or not he sees his shadow.
And sends up a plume of white smoke.
Exactly. Last few elections, there's been nobody over there, but I think a presidential election, there'll probably be someone. It's kind of traditional. Hear the results announced and then see them on the big screens that have been installed over there in recent years.
Yeah, okay. We're also joined in spirit by sponsors Summit Funding, Shayless Outfitters, and The Roof Doctor. And with that, do we have any other preambles?
My only preamble is that I want to get this out of the way right away. I was driving into work today, and it was monsooning outside, windy, trees down everywhere.
Quite windy, yeah.
There was one down in the Wanch where you and I reside, and I started looking to my left, looking to my right as I went down Pearl Street, and I started really hoping for the structural integrity of all those roofs. And I was like, I hope that these hold up through this winter season. And I was like, we can't wait towards midway through this. We're going to use it as a preamble to push the roof doctor. If you were like me outside today wondering about roofs, you should take a look at your own roof. And after you do, whether or not you see damage or not, you should call the roof doctor and ask for your free estimate, especially if you have water coming through. I'm told that's not a good sign.
Absolutely.
Who would you call, though? What's the number, Aaron, for the roof doctor?
They've got a lot of numbers. I prefer 360-736-0246, but also 360-499-0064 is an option.
Good.
And you can reach them online at theroofdoctor.com. Read all about the services they offer, the free estimates. You know, you can schedule an appointment right there on the internet. It's great. They got a little AI chatbot. Well, I assume it's AI. Maybe the roof doctor himself is on the other end.
It could be. I don't know. He does house calls after all. And you can read all the good reviews, including JB and Olympia, I believe. We always go to JB and Olympia.
Of course.
But nothing but positive reviews. And, you know, they're not a fly-by-night company. They've been here since 1959.
Yeah.
This is when my father was born.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Coincidence?
Yeah. So, anyways, I wanted to get that out of the way just in case, like, midway through a listen to the podcast, you know, something happened to someone's roof.
Speaking of fathers, my father was born on this day. Today is his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday to your dad. Happy birthday, Steve.
Yeah. That's
all I got. What did you get him? Did you get him anything nice?
I took him some pizza, and I got him a hoodie from his favorite pizza parlor in Port Townsend.
What's the favorite pizza parlor?
Waterfront Pizza.
It's
delicious.
Check that out when I'm going there.
Yeah, it's very good.
We're considering maybe sending some pizza over to the Lewis County Auditor's office tomorrow evening. I don't think we can get it from Port Townsend, though.
You're gonna smuggle in some?
I think we'll just have it delivered there. You know,
you and your high-ranking good old boys club gonna smuggle the results in a slice of pizza.
I've used this way too much in the last 2 days alone, but the Chronicle and Auditor's Office election night is the Predator handshake meme. As far as we're working late that night and not much appreciated by a lot of people, often criticized for things outside of our control, like election outcomes. So yeah, it'll be fun. I keep telling myself election night's gonna be fun, and I think if I say it enough, maybe it'll happen.
It could be.
I don't think it will be, but we'll see.
First news item. Actually, I should have done like the fire alarm one for this one.
Yeah, you
Centralia
should have.
has a new city manager.
You don't want to applaud it. We don't know how this is going to turn out yet.
Yeah, we don't know anything about him really. But it's Michael Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
And where is the notes on him? He's from Hillsboro, Oregon. He's taken over for Rob Hill, who retired a couple months ago. His hiring was unanimously approved. And is he on the job already? When does he start?
No, I think...
December 1st will be his first day on the job.
Yep. Starts in December. Still looking for a home. Owen did a nice phone interview with him. Got to learn a little bit of his military career.
20-year career in the Air Force. Retired as a lieutenant colonel.
And I shared this with you, but I got the sense that reporter Owen Sexton, a former aircraft mechanic in the U.S. Marine Corps, I think he was asking him too much about flight rather than the city manager job. So he kicked in with but my primary job will be to serve the city of Centralia and its community when he was talking about flying on weekends and holidays, because he still flies.
Yeah. Wish him the best. Hope he does a great job. Of course, his first order of business will be resetting the dry erase Days Without a Regional News Story About Bigotry or Hatred board back to zero.
How are we segueing?
That's a segue, because Centralia is once again at the center of a story about bigotry and or discrimination. So a same-sex couple went into JJ's To Go in downtown Centralia, where they had already, as I understand it, filled out a contract to have their wedding catered.
They'd negotiated it, at least. Nothing about a contract I've seen, but
And they were told to JJ's go to hell.
they were not, but go on.
Well, respectfully, according to the apology letter from JJ's that surfaced, which also said, "Love is love, except when we have to see it, you perverts. God doesn't want us to sell food to gay marrieds, but good luck, babes. Not ironically. We don't mean good luck in hell. Ha ha ha. We prayed about it and God said no."
And that is your take. I'm going to try to be much more measured on this front.
Go right ahead.
I think the salient
As
point...
our commenters were measured,
Right.
the 500 of them.
There's 1,000 as of today.
Good
like 1.3
God.
thousand comments. I can't go down in there. Yeah. Anyways, I think the takeaway from the reporting so far by Emily Fitzgerald, little internet reporting by myself last night, is that it seems pretty clearly to be illegal in Washington State specifically.
Yes.
You can't do that. And there was a prior case of was it a florist, I believe?
I think it was a florist in Washington, and then there was a web design and maybe a cake in, one of them was in Colorado.
Yeah, it was a florist in Washington, and it worked its way through the system. It started with them denying services to a same-sex couple for a wedding, like in this case in 2013. It was decided in like 2021, I think, by the U.S. Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. They sided with the state. And then the other two cases you mentioned one was in Colorado and one was in a different state. But it's been pretty well through the court system in Washington. And from everyone I've talked to, there's not much of a case that there's anything legal about this. That would be the takeaway for me without diving into the rest of it.
Well, you're forgetting the legal precedent of a business can refuse service to anyone for any reason if they so want. Yeah. It's right in there in the law books next to finders keepers, and the customer is always right.
I understand where you're coming from. I do.
There was another couple some people said was non-traditional that was denied public accommodations by someone in the service industry that didn't understand Christianity. Mm-hmm. Little story about Mary and Joseph.
I mean, it's before Christianity, but I get where you're going.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah. No, I mean, my honest reaction to this is we'll cover it fairly and straight up. And we went over there today. There was a small protest out in front holding signs, speaking out against the business and its decision. There's likewise been people online supporting them along the lines of the reasoning you just had, or that, they're Christians, they can't do this. For me, my personal opinion will not ever infect the news in any way, shape, or form. I always do wonder in these situations, though, as a pastor's child and a Christian, I often have problems with just the being taught the general idea that, everyone sins, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. God sees sin as sin and we're all sinners. I always question when we're picking what you consider a sin in this case and saying this we will not do. The rest we will not ask questions about. It's
an interesting thought exercise. I'm, in support of, doing business with people regardless. And it's an interesting thought exercise to wonder, like, where the line would be drawn there in this situation. Like, we discussed this a little bit, but, like, what if it was somebody who'd been divorced previously, or they had a child out of wedlock, or something like that the Bible would frown on. The Bible frowns on a lot of things. What if they wanted shellfish at their wedding?
Yeah, we don't take it that far. But yeah, no, I get you. Or maybe the bride in a heterosexual marriage is already pregnant. Which
Or what if they have tattoos?
The tattoos aren't nothing barring those.
I don't know.
Biblically that I'm aware of.
But yeah, and again, like, this has been...
It circles back to the legal aspect for me, though. I think that's the way to keep the discussion the most civil and within that framework. So
it is. And citing the legal thing, like, you know, these laws are in place for a reason. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you throw those laws out, then what's to say, oh, well, we're just not going to serve, Italians, for example.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe that's a discussion we should have on this podcast.
I think Emily is set to talk with the business owners tomorrow who've been friendly and open to her and to others, as far as I know, except for obviously the same-sex couple does not feel that they were treated very friendly. But I'm interested to know, like, did they think about the legal, like, did they see this as a potential outcome that you were going to have? You make this decision, sure, stand on it based on your opinions and your religious beliefs, but did they know that they were walking into a potential legal issue? Or did they think it would just be over, like, and they'd move on? I'm just curious of that aspect of it.
It's I hate to be this skeptical, as I often am, but it's tough to imagine you could run a business in Washington and not have any inkling that this could happen. But I don't know.
There was a lot of downtown businesses. I know the CDA made a statement on inclusivity today. I saw a few from other downtown Centralia businesses saying that the JJ's To Go does not speak for them. There's a lot of people going in there to eat that said they've not been there before online and they're going to go there. I'm not denigrating or cutting down or, supposing those people aren't speaking the truth. I do remember when there were protests of much larger size at a certain eatery off of U.S. Interstate 5, Spiffy's.
And it lived forever.
And those people were not returned diners because it didn't last after that. No, a case could be made that was a lot due to the government fining them as well. I won't take that away. But
yeah,
there's some parallels.
Shall we move on to our next totally calm and normal story?
Oh, man.
On eve of election, Washington GOP tells Spanish-speaking voters Democrats, quote, hate you and, quote, hate God. The state Republican Party's text messages said Democrats want to, quote, eliminate the Spanish language and, quote, support the chemical castration of your children in school without your knowledge or consent. They hate you, they hate your family, they hate God, and they hate the truth, it said in Spanish. Is it Kendrick Lamar? Did he go off the these?
Yeah, that's a good callback.
Again, this is the party trotting out Joe Kent, who wants to end all immigration and boot out every illegal immigrant. For starters, once they're all gone, anyone's up for exclusion. These messages also said 3 Democrats with Mexican backgrounds, quote, reject God's design of 2 genders and want to confuse your children about whether they are boys or girls. And if you thought your hero, Jim Walsh, was going to distance himself from these outlandish statements, think again, because he said in response to these, nothing in the Democrats' overwrought reactions denies the factual truth of the text messages. He said, while defending the claim that Democrats hate families and God, how else do you characterize the administration of Lupron to minors? Why is it okay for the left to accuse us of hate speech? You could just end the statement right there and be like, well, I mean, do you know what you're commenting on, sir?
Yeah.
But somehow questionable for us to point out that their actions, the actions of these candidates, show a hatred towards conventional families and traditional notions of gender identity. Log on to cronline.com or x.com to read more ramblings from a madman.
Oh, come on.
Walsh sounds like an NFL coach who just got blown out at home in week 16 and knows he's getting fired in 2 weeks.
I don't think he's getting fired.
Buddy, State Senate Republican leader John Braun told Axios that the Texas campaign, quote, uses language and characterizations we'd never use. Well, State Representative Peter Abarno, who co-chairs the House Republicans' campaign arm, referred to the language as incendiary and unfortunate.
That was a legit cough.
First of all, I applaud Braun for actually coming out and disavowing this.
Yeah. Barno as well. It sounds
yeah,
like.
and a Barno too. Although he wasn't quite as
I mean, he'd
profuse,
call
I
you
guess.
incendiary and fortunate.
Incendiary, yeah.
Pretty descriptive.
But I don't know, guys. The loudmouth clown you put in charge of your partying is making you all look like loudmouth clowns. Maybe just come out and be like, "Hey, Jim, shut the hell up. You're not doing us any favors with all this." Anyway,
You don't think the state lawmakers hired him as the GOP lead, do you?
I don't know how it worked out, but I
figured based on all of your previous stuff.
But
I'm not
like
trying to derail your point.
They may not have hired him, but I feel like they have the power to fire him.
You think that they could, speak out forcefully. I wouldn't see either party doing that, especially in an election year. But
not right now.
Turning cannons.
But you have to, like a Black Monday in the NFL situation where after the election they go, hey, like this did not go well for us. And you didn't do us any favors between the semi-bird thing and constantly being a crank on Twitter and being a kind of bizarre individual, and then this text message deal the night before the election that makes us all look like assholes. Come on, you got to step down, buddy. And surely he'll listen to reason and do so peacefully. And not set things on fire on his way out the door like his buddy Semi-Bird.
Yeah, I could see that. I think you'd probably get a response from Republicans that if we're using the word incendiary, that there's a lot of stuff that gets thrown at the Republicans that could be described as such as well. But I too would call this unfortunate, especially. I always get uncomfortable when someone tries to attach someone else's opinion of God, like they hate God and they hate you. Like what?
They're trying to chemically castrate your children at school. What?
It's carrying the ball a bit forward. Backwards, I guess.
What are you talking about?
No, I mean, they're taking a point. Like, I think that the trans issue is something that a lot of mainstream Republicans are also uncomfortable with, that education in class, and then they're timesing it by like 10, and you trot out castrate, and that's what I meant by moving the ball forward. Not in a positive.
Anyway, this is also shortly after the Republican Party's Public Disclosure Committee fines, which were not all that major, but in response to those, which was a story that was also in today's paper, or was that Saturday?
It was in Saturday's paper.
In response to those, Walsh did a curious bit about the timing of it, and then said, "There's no need to match haste with haste. For the next few days, the GOP is focused on winning elections." To which I say, are you?
I mean, I was happy to see that the quote before that, the one that you selected, was, that they try to stay in line with everything PDC. And like you said, it was a minor thing. It was $5,000, but yes, no. That all did happen. It's true, all of it.
I mean, this is just, Santa Claus shitting his bed on Christmas Eve.
I don't even know what that means. Is Jim Walsh Santa in this situation? What gifts is he bringing?
I'm sorry, these are just text messages I received from Jim Walsh.
I thought you would have said Krampus shitting his bed on Christmas Eve.
I don't think Krampus sleeps in a bed, my man.
No. Moving on.
Marie Gluesenkamp Perez introduces legislation to require labeling home appliances with expected lifespans. I have no idea if this piece of legislation has any chance, but I kind of like it. Like it's a little thing,
I like it a lot. I think if you're a homeowner of any kind, maybe even a renter that's responsible for your own appliances, you've experienced the phenomena that I have of, having a good old 1980s refrigerator that works just fine forever, and then you get a brand new one from wherever. In our case, I believe it was Home Depot, and it just takes a crap on you in like 2 weeks in, and
you're shit out of luck.
Yeah, well, you can get a maintenance guy if you got the warranty, which we had. But it is frustrating. We had the same experience with our washers and dryers, and eventually, I think a lot of people do this. We just went looking for old washers and dryers, not something new at all.
Yeah, anything. It's good legislation. I think people like it a lot. I don't have any inkling as to how the political machine works with something like this regarding real machines. But yeah, they are a pain in the ass. They don't last like they used to. And so I applaud her. Yeah, she wants to get shit done, and she's big on the right to repair stuff. And so, yeah, this is kind of on brand.
Businesses would have 5 years to comply with the legislation. So there's that.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that you have to throw into anything like this. You can't just spring something on industry right away.
Also, if there was ever a piece of legislation where you're probably going to have a very, very, very heavy lobbying and influence in D.C. against it, I would think this would be the one where corporate America just joins arms and says, no, they don't need to know how long this is going to last. It'll be fine. That's what their sticker says.
I was told there'd be no fact checking on these stickers.
We have had to, because MGP her office, as Herrera Butler's office did before she was ousted, sends out a lot of news releases. You're the only congresswoman for your whole district. It's kind of like a unique in coverage. You know, we have several legislators. We have 6 that we cover and tons of city councilors, but there's only one congresswoman. So we've gotten a lot of news releases this week. And I think last Thursday we made the decision, or last Friday after deadline, that we'll let them rest until Thursday. No more new MGP news until then. There was one that she had broken the threshold of $3 million returned to voters, and just feels like running that right days before the election probably. It doesn't need to be done. It can wait until Thursday.
All right. Next item. Chehalis City Council approves budget as councilors voice concerns over the use of reserve funds. Mayor Tony Ketchum doesn't like the idea of using some of Chehalis' general fund reserves to balance the budget, which they legally have to do. But that is what they will have to. They legally have to balance the budget. They don't have to use reserves, but they have to do it somehow. His quote was, "I'm just trying to grasp why we're needing so much money when we were told we had almost $2 million coming to us to offset a bad budget coming in 2025. He said, "We were saving that up to buy Centralia something nice for Valentine's Day, like a pool."
That last part did get said.
In 2024, I found this interesting, and I think you've mentioned this before too.
Yeah.
The property tax rate in Chehalis will be $1.26 per $1,000 of assessed property value, and it will rise to $1.40 per 1,000 in 2025. It's an interesting contrast to Centralia, which just bumped theirs up to, was it 81 cents?
Yeah, I believe it was 47 before that.
Yeah, and was getting called out by all kinds of folks for it. So
I was told
one thing Centralia does better than Chehalis.
No. This makes total sense, and I should have thought of it to begin with. But a former Chehalis city councilor that's near and dear to you and I let me know that one of the reasons for that is Chehalis still has its own fire department, whereas in Centralia you have the Riverside Fire Authority, which is its own taxing district. So Chehalis has to pay for their fire department out of it, which is why it's higher.
Yeah, that's I don't.
You've been gotcha'd.
It sounds like you were gotcha'd as well.
I was gotcha'd. Well, I mean, we were gotching Chad because Chad was wondering why Centralia just got doubled, and he's a defender of the taxpayer.
How much is the Riverside Fire Authorities?
I don't, not off the top of my head. I don't know. I mean, I should know because they just got a increase during the last election approved, but no, I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Any other news, or do you want to do a roundup later?
Let's do a roundup later.
All right, take a break.
Hi, this is Jeff and Julie from Fairway Lanes.
Jeff and I met Jacek of Summit Funding at our bowling center, so when we fell in love with this community and it was time to relocate, we knew we would be calling Summit Funding.
They understand that everyone has a unique situation when buying a home.
He had already helped 2 of our employees get into their own homes. The Summit Funding team exceeded our expectations. It was a seamless experience with great communication from his whole team.
Thank you to Summit Funding for making our buying experience special and memorable.
All right, we're back. It's time for segments, and first up, we've got Tales from the Takes page, the opinion section, which I have not read. So lay some takes on me. What do we got?
Well, we'll lead off with the letters because I'm a man of the people. Follow up to a letter we had a couple weeks ago from Arnie Davis, Adna residents for purposes of this letter, but also Lewis County Treasurer. And in the last one, he had some strong words for the left. One of them was demonic, and he was just kind of speaking out against trans and homosexual agenda, I believe, as he would have put it. But he has written a letter titled An Apology of Sorts, and this letter came in the last week, so bears no relation to the controversy over JJ's To Go.
What? It's just for...
Never has there been more of a reason you have to throw the To Go in there with the new JJ's up the street.
Delightful bar.
JJ's Sports Bar, you and I visited there yesterday.
Delightful bar.
So you got to make sure to throw that To Go. Anyways, his letter, he is kind of apologizing. Let's see. I did not consider the feelings of our local Democrats, who I know are good Christians. Some are friends of mine. Well, at least I hope they are still friends. One good friend emailed me and pointed out that 2 of them live in his house. For that affront, I sincerely apologize and humbly request forgiveness. Which, good on Arnie for writing back in.
What? Could you explain to me what the alleged trans and homosexual agenda is?
I won't. I refuse to be baited into that.
Is there some idea that they're out just converting people?
Well, I think, God, you're baiting me into it. I think the
just-
idea would be like if a young kid, like a third, fourth grader or something, and this is an example from the ether, was, just said one day, I'm a girl, rather, a young boy says, I think I'm a girl, rather than tell the parents, a educator gets them a bunch of literature on transsexuality, perhaps how to transition or examples, things like that. That would be something that I think would be described as agenda.
Okay.
By some people.
By some people, but not you. But others.
I'm wading into that. I don't know. You just feigning ignorance to try to get me to misstep. We're moving on. We've got
what other unincendiary
historic
letters do we have?
1908 Winlock Church set to reopen its doors on November 17th. This is the former Sacred Heart Church, I believe.
Just anything you could find
In
to get off
Winlock?
that last topic, huh?
Well, I mean, there's good things in our paper too. You like to highlight all of the controversy, but a lot of it's just smooth as a Brian Mitke Saturday column. Who should be mentioned here also in Tales of Stakes. Elizabeth Rohr had a nice column or letter, which I appreciated, in appreciation of the Chronicle's positive impact within our treasured Lewis County. You think it's sarcasm, don't you? You've been conditioned. You've been conditioned over the years, as have I.
I've seen her takes before.
John McCroskey, I'll be glad when it's over, but here's who and what I support this election. Oh, some real
Jesus.
real turns in there. No. I thought I laid out this page. So I had two columns on the first opinion page on Saturday. The first was Brian Mitke, Finding Thankfulness Even in Election Season. And another great Mitke take. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let's see if we can do a little takeaway here. America will and must endure past the election and inauguration. That depends on us continuing to respect and work with those around us, whatever political stripes we might wear and whoever we might vote for. A person isn't a maggot with the MAGA for voting for Trump, or a Democrat for voting for Harris, or a coward for declining to vote for either. And I urge you to pull back a little from anyone or any media source so amped up that they're saying so. Don't let scorched earth politics ruin friendships or family relationships. Just don't. If you do, no matter who wins the election, we all lose. Brian Mitke.
To which I respond, they hate you, they hate your family, they hate God, they hate the truth.
And that was on the same page as John Braun, Make Washington Better by Voting Republican. It was fine. It was good.
Want to reject God's design of two genders and confuse your children.
Julie McDonald has a great column in Tuesday's edition. I'm sorry. I feels like this week's already been long. Other views of Washington State's history should be shared without destroying existing monuments. She felt strongly about this one because she wrote enough to fill a whole page with a sidebar.
What are the monuments she's discussing here?
She talks about a few of them, but this is all based around... this is kind of Julie putting on her reporting hat, but it also includes some of her opinion. And she attended a meeting at the Lewis County Historical Museum. It was the Washington State Historical Society, and there's like an ongoing movement to potentially add, either add like the perspective of Native Americans to some of these sites, perhaps destroy the monuments and put in new monuments that say what actually happened to, not just Native Americans, but that's the example she uses here. Basically how to handle history, that's the long-standing discussion, and she describes it much better than I am right now, but some of them were in Toledo, the St. Francis Xavier Mission, the Jackson House are two locations, and they just think there should be additional info, and she's kind of pushing back against the idea that we should erase the monuments that are there, get rid of them completely. She thinks that there should be side-by-side potential narratives, like bringing in the other voices. So it's an interesting discussion, though. I'd encourage folks to read the column.
Any other opinion section?
Well,
Drivel,
Dr.
you want to foist upon me?
Richard Stride has a column about seasonal affective disorder, and I've noticed you have a bit of the winter blues lately, so you might want to give that a read.
I did mention that he's like, now that the dark days are here, and I was like, it's the election time already.
I know. I figured that would be the takeaway for people. He did talk about one of the ways to treat it is there's an alarm clock that makes I've never heard of this. I'm sure you have.
It wakes you up with light.
Yeah, gets brighter and brighter. I kind of want to try that. That's not bad.
No, I don't really get seasonal affective disorder. Like, it doesn't bother me that I don't like that it's dark outside because I can't play as much golf. But
yeah, and driving home at dark, I almost fell in the back room there when we were coming upstairs because there's no daylight.
Yeah, we don't often podcast after dark until this time of year.
My way of waking up in a nice therapeutic fashion is my wife's alarm clock that is set 4 times before she actually has to get up. So I am awoken an hour before necessary and roll around in frustration for a long time.
I've gotten to the point where, like, I go to bed too early, and so I'm waking up between, like, 3 and 5 a.m. some days.
It's a good time, though.
And, yeah, like, I mean, I live alone, so there's no, like, I can't wake anybody up. So I just get up. And like, you know what, I'll get some stuff done. I'll take a nap in the afternoon. I'm becoming a siesta guy at my old age.
Oh, that's good for you.
Yeah, it is.
Lots of other letters, too. Not saying I won't, but I haven't been sharing a lot of the political ones. I feel like our readers at chronline.com can read those if they like and share them if they like. I've seen candidates doing that. I'm always afraid of getting into the trap where I share one candidate's letter and forget to share the other one. And so I'm not saying I won't, though. We'll see. Election's tomorrow. It's not looking like I will be sharing many more. But
are you going to share any of these election letters after the election is over?
Probably not. I mean,
what if somebody you don't like writes a letter endorsing a candidate that loses horribly? Are you going to be like,
I like all of our letter writers, so that's an impossible outcome.
More lies.
They're not letter writers. They're letter writers to you. They're friends to me.
I guess they are writing letters directly to you. So,
yeah, I had a guy at a gas station once ask me, and I was in my Chronicle shirt, and he was like, "Oh, what do you do there?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm the editor." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, you're the guy that everybody writes to all the time." It's like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
thanks,
that's all
gas
I
station
do.
guy.
People's Champion of the Week. I've got Lewis County Superior Court judge for finalizing 3 adoptions in honor of National Adoption Day.
Well, yeah, they haven't done that yet. It's actually at the end of November.
Well, then why is the story in here?
Because it's a preview if the public wants to come.
All right.
I didn't think of a hero of the week. I'm look around here just briefly. Are you sure you don't want to give it to Jim Walsh? You seem pretty high on Jim Walsh.
I think every Democrat should give it to Jim Walsh at this point. Jim Walsh, just like that guy from the Jets that dropped the ball before crossing the goal line the other night?
Yeah, that was pretty bad. How does that keep happening? I don't understand.
I don't understand it.
I have another story that we didn't mention that maybe here's a week. Lewis County's getting their first transitional housing village. It's going to be over near Harrison Square Church, I believe, in Centralia, and it's the first one Lewis County has had. It's a partnership between Westminster Presbyterian, Gather Church, Chehalis United Methodist Church, and Harrison Square.
Sounds nice.
Along with a bunch of local businesses that are helping making it happen. It is called Shalom Village, and I thought it was pretty newsworthy.
Yeah,
There's
is
a
good.
full story on that. But yeah, more people off the streets. It at least needs to get a nomination. But
Yeah,
we'll see how it works
Give
out.
it to them.
Well, again, it hasn't been realized yet, so it doesn't feel right.
It's future heroes of the week.
Yeah. So
People's champions of the future.
Or if you're a lover of owls, you want to give it to animal welfare groups who are challenging the plan to kill 500,000 barred owls.
What is this plan? I saw the headline and I didn't read it, and I was like, you know what? I'll just let Schwartz.
It's one of
explain
those
it to me.
stories that I have not liked. See, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife wants to kill 500,000 barred owls after a bunch of studies to try to save the spotted owl because killing all those logging jobs didn't help.
Well,
and
the thing is, like, in terms of birds, is 500,000 a lot? How many birds are there?
That's a lot of freaking birds, man.
Yeah, but there's a lot of birds out there. Nobody really
500,000 barred owls.
Nobody could possibly know how many birds there are.
I don't get it. I know I'm not a scientist. That surprises you. But the whole, like, trying to manage the animal population at that level, like, if they were that great at taking over the spotted owls territory and at procreating, apparently, because there's so many of them, aren't we just going to go kill 500,000 barred owls and have to do it again? And, like, eventually, is this going to become like a seasonal hunt?
Yeah, you can't just wipe them all out. They could just fly up in the sky. How are you going to get them?
It just seems ill thought out by me. Like, I just don't understand.
Just doing drone
Why
strikes
are we
on
bending
owls
over
now?
backwards for an owl that can't survive? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
like these same people, I assume, are proponents and believers of evolution, and this seems like it's playing out before their eyes. And
well, you could say the same thing about salmon and your precious salmon and the sea
that's true.
lions.
That we've been there before. We've had that discussion. Anyways, it feels ill-advised to go kill 500,000 barred owls.
Also, like, how much does that cost?
It's got to cost a lot because they're not like letting hunters do it or anything. So,
Which, again, like, I'm not a hunter, but it seems to me like you have a problem and a cheap solution that everybody would enjoy. Same thing with the sea lions. Like, what are we doing here?
yeah, like if you're out there hunting and you see one, shoot it. You know?
Yeah, don't just be like, oh, I got to tell Fish and Wildlife so they can come shoot
Like
it.
maybe you get like
Take out the
$5 if you bring it back, like per owl carcass. I don't know.
Yeah.
Treat it like the pike minnow.
Sure.
Anyways, but yeah, so animal welfare groups. People's Champion of the Week.
Sirens Banger of the Week. I've got a few. Well, I've got one on here, and then you've got one that I think is a little better. But man arrested for allegedly stealing fake money out of a Centralia window display. It must have been good-looking money.
Yeah, there's the picture with the story has the money in his hand, and it's a blurry body cam picture, but you can still kind of make it out. And it looks like modern money. It doesn't look like fake money. I do believe he thought it was real money when he broke in there, and then he did promptly blame the business for doing that when asked. The bigger beef here is I have confirmed with SignPro Mike, who near and dear to this company, does everything around here. He works for the Chronicle and SignPro, does a lot of the maintenance around the building. He's usually the first one here every morning, and he had to ask a homeless gentleman to move along out front. And the homeless gentleman didn't give him like a really bad time, but was kind of being sarcastic, and then patted him on the head because he was taller than him as he was walking
harsh.
away. I confirm this is the same gentleman who then went and broke this window and stole that money.
So Mike really feeling pretty...
I think Mike was happy that he got his comeuppance. I think that's for sure. Mike was armed with a broom at the time in case things got violent. So he was going to go Donatello on him with the stick.
I've seen fake money like this just dropped on the side of the street.
Have you?
Yeah, I've stopped and picked it up every once in a while. I'll be like, oh, is it? Nope, it's fake. Got me again. It's out there.
Yeah. Anyways.
And you had a good one, too.
Yeah, I was trying to find it here because I have the page up. Let's see. Sorry, dead air here. This is from today's Sirens. And this isn't like funny or anything. It's actually just quite wrong. Officers were dispatched to a report of a suspicious male trying to sell drugs to patients at a rehab facility on South Schuber Road on November 3rd. The male refused to identify himself, then resisted their attempts to restrain him. Once in custody, they located what they believe to be meth. This is a 27-year-old Centralia resident. But that's pretty low down and dirty to go try to sell drugs at a rehab facility.
Yeah.
He would probably say, know your customer, but...
I mean, it is kind of the best place to sell them, probably, but you shouldn't.
No, you definitely shouldn't, and it's the worst place to sell them, jerk. Jeez.
Is it?
I mean, in terms of success rate, or
maybe
like
he was trying to get people on their
way.
way into the facility.
How would that?
Still
How would
illegal.
that be better? You want one last high, bro?
Yeah, you know.
Oh, I thought it was wrong. Yeah. Other than that, there's a guy arrested with meth, mushrooms, and marijuana. Just the trifecta there. Got a guy shooting an air fryer. Pretty active Sirens today.
All right. Do you want to do some Facebook comments of the week?
I don't. I really don't. But I have a feeling you're going to force it upon me.
No, not. I read a lot of the JJ's to go comments yesterday, and I don't know. It was all a lot of them were quite bad. So many. Oh, you can refuse service. No, you. Jesus Christ.
You're not surprised by that though. Like that's pretty predictable that you were going to hear that in those comments and worse.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just Anyway, yeah, that was. I don't want to get into the comments. You know what? Go to Facebook and read them yourself.
Or don't, like me.
Or
like
just
me.
go on living your life.
Yeah, go on living your life. My last purge of Facebook comments was the kids throwing up quote unquote gang signs at the Southwest Washington Fairgrounds. And that was only because someone told me that one of the kids felt threatened, and I didn't like that. So I was like, I'll just go nuke all of them, and I tried.
Yep,
it's just like punching water,
just like fighting ghosts.
Couldn't do it.
What did I not mention that you think people should hear about rather than read about?
We had a veteran laid to rest at the National Cemetery up north after his remains were left unclaimed in Lewis County for over a year. So we sent Owen Sexton up there on Friday, and he covered the ceremony. So we have a short story and photos from that. It's the second year in a row that they've done that. Last year, I believe there was 4 sets of unclaimed remains. We've got a brief on Lewis County PUD has awarded nearly $5 million for expanded internet access. Some of that government cash you're always talking about.
Yeah, sounds like some socialism's coming to PUD's way.
Supposed to get a news release explaining details on that. If you're wanting to do Veterans Day with some sort of event or ceremony, we've got a roundup. That's next Monday. And some pretty cool events, including a Medal of Honor recipient's family is going to be honored out at Onalaska High School, which I thought was cool. The photo that accompanies the story is him shaking hands with Richard Nixon. We've run the story a few different times and also featured him in 2004 before he passed away. Chehalis Police Department is investigating 2 deaths reported over the weekend, both one a man, one a woman, both in their 30s. One of them was reported as a controlled substance death on the call log, but we don't have any additional details. It's very rare that the Chehalis Police Department is going to send out a news release like that. So curious if anyone has information. There's phone numbers for the detectives for each case. Red Cross faces extreme need for volunteers in Southwest Washington. They're looking to round up some good folks in Lewis County specifically and surrounding counties as well. Details there on how to do that. Seattle Times had this in lawsuit. 176 more people allege sex abuse at Washington Youth Detention Centers. This one included reports out of Maple Lane, and I believe some of these reports are as much as 50 years old.
Yeah, I saw the headline, and I was like, oh, boy, what's going on at Green Hill now? And then it's like, oh, well, this is all like equally terrible, but also this is not like something that any current administration has had a part in.
Most of it. Probably. There's some in these lawsuits because it's a bit unwieldy now, but there's some that are more recent, and this has been going on for years. As far as lawsuits being filed, settled, etc. We did a story on Washington State Patrol graduates 30 new troopers, including a guy I went to high school with. Which is nice.
Governor Inslee puts the National Guard on standby to support law enforcement if needed during election week.
Why?
What could possibly happen?
I mean, you could have a march on the governor's mansion, or you could have riots. That
doesn't sound like something that could happen.
How about riots in downtown Seattle? We'll see which way the violence pendulum swings this year. So we
I got 2 violence pendulums ready to swing at you, homeboy.
You know what? I've said this before, but I miss like when I was in high school, early days out of college, when May Day would happen. And I know it's not good to have any damage, but how you could just predict, oh, it's May Day tomorrow, and just flip on the news and watch the anarchists walking around. They maybe break a window or two. But they really didn't have like any clear message aside from anarchy to push. It wasn't like politically driven, really.
Yeah, some rioting we could all get behind.
It was just a thing that happened every year. And then we don't got that anymore. It's just more of a year-round thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's there's more stuff on Cronline, but we'll leave it at that for now. I want you to predict the outcome of every major race. Go.
No.
Who you got? Trump or Kamala?
I think it's going to be tight. I don't know.
Ferguson or Reichert?
I think Ferguson's probably going to win that one.
Herrera Butler or Up the Grove?
I think that one's going to be surprisingly close. I feel like it's going to be Up the Grove, but I'm not sure. Like, I don't know who is going to look at the ballot and be like, oh, Herrera Butler. I remember all those times she visited my district.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more going to be a case of King County just voting for the Democrat in the case.
Yeah.
And his name's Up the Grove, and he's running for Public Lands Commissioner. It's got its own appeal to it as well. But I agree that I think it'll be closer than most state races. And then the big one, the one we've all been waiting for, Angie Brown v. Dave Fenn for Lewis County PUD Commission. What say you?
Like you, I am not on the PUD. Did we get to vote on that?
No,
I can't even remember if it was
we're
in
City
my
Light
ballot.
people. We're City Light people.
I don't know. I think it's going to be Dave Fenn just because people know the name, but that's not always a good thing. So we'll see.
All right, last one. Kent. Kent Perez.
I've said this before.
Not who you're supporting, how you think it's going to end.
I think it'll be MGP just because I can't see any voters out there. I don't know what she could have done to lose voters that would find Joe Kent more appealing, I guess. But it is a presidential election, so it's bigger. But I like the work she's done, and I don't really know what.
Who will win? Not who you like, sir. This isn't a platform for your political views.
MGP.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how it goes, and we'll talk about it a week later on the next episode.
Yeah. We will have
coming to you
dump.
live from a smoldering crater in downtown Centralia.
We will have a sports dump tomorrow night, so maybe we'll touch on it there.
Good.
Yeah. You know you want Zach's election takes.
I don't, actually.
In closing, we're sponsored by Summit Funding, Shayless Outfitters, and The Roof Doctor. Leave a review or rating on Apple Podcasts if you want. Makes no difference to me. You can also send us an email at chroniclenewsdump@gmail.com. What?
I got to stop you there. We've forgotten something very important. Shayless Outfitters has brought us this great episode, and we wouldn't want to leave without thanking them, and they wouldn't want to open their doors without thanking veterans, which is what they're doing right now with their Veterans Day sale. It runs October 31st through November 30th. As a thank you to veterans, it's 20% off regular priced items during that time.
Everything?
20% off. So you can go enter your fake code, Aaron, and get your discount.
Some hip waders?
Yeah, 20% off.
Wow.
We're looking at 30% off camo and blaze orange for you hunters out there. Some wonderful elk photos that have been sent in lately.
I heard they bought all their guns and bullets at Shayless Outfitters.
They were sponsored by Shayless Outfitters. We're just going to start saying that now. There's some good deals on pet food. There's a nice heater you can get here. Lots of clothing. Even board games. You can get Scrabble. You ever play Scrabble?
Yeah, I played Scrabble.
I bet you're terrible at it. There's also deals on Carhartt, Timberland, Ariat, Full Blue. Get yourself some pants over there. Just flipping through here. Oh, rubber boots. Look at this. And you could get hip waders. Good deal on hip waders. 2 different options here, both for $89.95 each. I know Chad has outfitted the newsroom with hip waders from Shayless Outfitters. We've got those ready for flood season. But yeah, lots of rubber boots as well, with prices ranging from $15.99 right on up to $120, depending on the quality that you want in your rubber boot. I like a sturdy rubber boot, you know?
Yeah.
And then 20% off all in-stock Skechers. Lots of boots on sale here. But yeah, Veterans Day sale. You want to get down there.
All right. And they sell easily palatable food, right?
Oh, yes.
Like the kind you would feed a dog with distemper?
Of course.
That maybe has red, runny eyes and nose, a fever.
Yes.
Doing a lot of barking and shouting loudly.
Yes.
Lashing out aggressively, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
We should send those to your friends in the Republican Party.
Yeah. My friends, shots fired, man. Not partisan.
Feed some of that palatable food to your best friend, Jim Walsh.
Well,
calm him down a little
25% off for dog houses if you want to take your girlfriend somewhere this weekend. It's not a joke. Dog houses are 25% off.
Oh. You have been living in one for quite some time. And on that note, send us an email at chroniclenewsdump@gmail.com. Goodbye. Happy election.